Oh, shit. I spill it all over myself.
You're spilling the cheap wine.
Oh, God.
You should be more respectful of the $3 Whole. It's from Whole Foods, though.
I should slurp it out of the grass.
It's probably like organic, but not for $3.
Right.
You just feel classy because you're at Whole Foods buying it. Anyway.
Hi, I'm Jen.
I guess you could call me Natalie.
And this is
Just don't call me Nat.
Or she'll kill you.
I'm not sure I would go that far. I'm not violent. I'm not.
Not outwardly.
No, I just give people really big. I give looks, definitely.
Yeah.
And I got a sassy attitude.
Yes. This is our inaugural podcast. If it even makes it that far, we might end up scrapping this whole thing. But if we don't, we're going to figure out how this whole podcasting thing works, and maybe this will be the only episode we ever do.
We make goals. It's really hard to stick to them. Because sometimes vodka is there, and like you're just like, hey, let's just watch, Saved by the Bell or Just New Black. Call me Mrs. Vodka.
One of my favorite titles of all time was Chelsea Handler's book, Dear Vodka, It's Me, Chelsea. I thought that was the best.
Did you read that book?
I didn't read it.
Oh, I read the book, and it was freaking hilarious. Chelsea Handler is just really funny. Shout out. But there's one, and I don't even remember the book. I just remember there one line, and she was like, I understand that the risk of setting a dog free is it could run over by a car, but so could an ex-boyfriend, and that's just sometimes a chance you have to take.
That's good. Yeah. I should turn off that music just because if we do post this, we don't have licensing rights to it, and I don't want to get into a whole kerfuffle. So we're drinking cheap Chardonnay and enjoying deviled eggs, but as soon as we finish, we've polished off 2 bottles of Chardonnay.
Cheap, since 5 o'clock, so it took us 5 hours.
So we did pace ourselves, but that's about to go off the rails.
That's why we started this now, before we get a little too crazy.
Yeah. So we're finishing off the Chardonnay and the deviled eggs, and then we're gonna crack this bottle. It's like a gallon plastic bottle
of cheap vodka,
of super cheap vodka. Like, this is potato
we
vodka.
Be broke.
Yeah, we are. We actually pooled our resources. I paid in $2 bills.
Hashtag we be broke.
We be broke. Hashtag $2 bill.
But I think what we really want to do, maybe, I know you kind of brought it up, maybe we should talk about the Indiana thing.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should kind of, and then see what happens. I mean.
So when did is this just breaking news?
Well, the sentencing was. So I very briefly read the story, so don't quote me on it. I'll probably do some more reading tomorrow. But it sounds like I just read the sentencing thing, but it sounds like what happened was last April of 2015, this guy from the University of Indiana, who must have been a junior at the time, because in the article it said he was set to graduate this year. He was accused and then now convicted of raping a girl. It came down to the conviction was 2 women, because they did this woman, congratulations to her, came forward, pressed charges, and the DNA they got actually caught him from a previous rape that happened in 2013. One of those rapes would happened at the actual frat house. I'm not sure which one. But the girl from April 2015 said that he held her down and raped her. So he was convicted. He pled guilty. And he was convicted. And he got not life in prison, not even a year, a day, because I think he was in jail for a day after this happened.
For a day.
And then sentenced to probation.
This is absurd. I don't think there's enough cognizance that rape is a hate crime against women.
And that you're very valid, but it's also one of those things where they're like indifferent. Like, women aren't human, so we can do what we want almost to them. And the fact that the judicial system backs that theory up is ridiculous.
There's institutional, systemic...
sexism, I guess we would call it, or just not thinking that you can be raped almost.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I actually don't like these things.
Because it slows you down?
It's slow. So, on like the big gallon jugs, they have these pour caps that slow down the rate of your pour. And I find that infuriating.
How dare you try to dictate how fast I can drink.
Just fill up my glass. So, yes, we've cracked open the vodka.
Well, we're going to need vodka probably for this
conversation.
Yeah, I think the part that makes me mad, and I'm going to be completely honest, my anger and sadness doesn't even come completely from what she went through. I know that's bad to say out loud, but it doesn't. What my complete anger comes from is the total disrespect to me as a person, or women as a people. Like like the fact that it was like a slap in the face. Like, it doesn't even matter that this happened to her. Judges are just like, hey.
Right. It's a systemic disregard of women. It's institutionalized. It's in our judicial system. I mean, the fact of the matter is, when you consider that we still have mandatory minimums for drug possession.
Oh, yeah, you can go to drug for 20 years.
Yeah.
This is really slow. You're not joking. Okay?
Yeah, I really hate these on the vodka bottles. Stop doing this.
Anyways, but yeah, so
but no, it's infuriating. And John Oliver did a segment on this, talking about mandatory minimums, talking about, these people who, for simple possession, granted they were large quantities, and there might have even been an intent to sell, charge tacked on, but these people are, in some cases, serving life sentences in prison.
Life.
Meanwhile, a guy who rapes a woman is getting probation.
And let's be clear.
One day, raped two women, served a day in jail, gets probation. I mean, that is absurd to me.
And it's almost like, and not that this maybe should matter, but one of the women was severely injured in her genitals. So she had lacerations. It was so forceful that she was injured. Like, this is assault. Let's be clear. Like, this is not, and it's violent. Everything is bad. But even if our judicial system is like, well, we're not going to count rape as that serious of a crime, and we're not going to hurt his life. Like, there was more to it than that. Let's just put it into perspective. Like, it's just frustrating. I can't even express it well enough, I don't think, to make a point that's valid. Because, and this is the problem, and this is the thing I hear from men all the time, is that when women express fear of a situation, or I'm afraid to walk around alone at night, or I'm afraid of when men sit next to me in the bus, and then the men respond with, well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. You think every man's out there to rape you? No, I don't think every man's out there to rape me. But I think there's one at least, and I don't know which one you are. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's fine. It's still recording.
Technology and I are not
Technology.
friends. I just made it go off.
Yeah. It's like, fuck this. I'm out of this conversation. The laptop screen went off, for those of you who are not here with us, to see what we're talking about. It's fine. It just timed out. We're still recording. Because the fact of the matter is, we really need to reshape the way that the psyche of men, the culture surrounding sex for men, not for women, not this middle school, your tank top straps are less than an inch thick.
And that comes from the whole sending girls home when their shorts were too short. And
and it's like you're going to deprive them of an education because they might be distracting boys from their education. You're placing the education of boys ahead of that of girls.
And you're also, and in defense of boys and men, you're making them seem like primitive creatures who can't control themselves.
Well, that's the thing.
How horrible to them. That's insulting to them as well.
That is insulting
to everybody.
That's the thing that I keep saying to the guys in my life, is that, like, this is as much a cause that you should be voicing, against as it is for women. Men should be outraged by rape because you got the good guys out there. I mean, there are women who are so afraid when a guy approaches them that we immediately shut you down, and it's like, no, get away from me. You can't get my number. There's that song like, my name is no, my number is no. And it's like, this culture has been created because we have been victims of sexual violence, and that's bad for the good guys out there because you're getting lumped in.
Well, it's also bad for the women who really do want to meet people, like just people. I love meeting people and hanging out with them and learning about them, and I don't feel like I can do that safely a lot of the time. When a person is really, I remember I was on the train coming home. I just had voted, and I was on the light rail going home. And a guy, it was 7:30 at night. It wasn't late at night. He got next to the train. It was like, hey, how are you? And he was really friendly. He worked at a bank. He was talking to me. And I was like, I said, dude, I'm not in the mood. Not because I didn't want to talk to him. He seemed really nice. And I kicked myself later. Like, he was really nice and really good looking, too. And looked really good in the suit. But I was like, why is this guy? And that is not coming from I'm not super conceited about myself. Like, he really wanted to talk. No, I was just coming from it's on the train. I just walked in the middle of downtown Minneapolis by myself in the dark. I'm already a little freaked out at this point, and I don't really want to have a conversation with you because I don't know why you're talking to me. And then he even apologized after I said no. He's like, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to come on this way. I was just saying hi. And I felt really bad. I'm like, no, it's okay. And then I had a conversation, and then he started being, it was just, the whole situation was bad.
Yeah.
So, and I felt really bad, but it was like, I've been conditioned to not think that some guy on a train would want to talk to me for any reason other than.
Yeah, I mean, and this stuff is not all in our minds. I mean, I remember when I was in Harvard Square, like, this guy started up a conversation with me, and I'm like, oh, you seem cool, and I gave him my number, and this guy stalked me for like a year and a half. I've gone jogging and have had, cars honking at me. Just the other day when I was going to get cigarette tubes at the tobacco store, there was a little cafe next door, and these guys were like, "Hey, baby," as I was walking in. They're like, "Hey, girl," and it's like, I'm just going to the store, fucker.
Well, and you see, this is the problem too. Is that what will happen is the response after we'll say this. I'm sure there's a guy out there right now, if anybody's listening to this, thinking to themselves, "So you get a lot of compliments. What's so wrong with that? No harm, no foul." And this is where I go again. No harm, no foul. I don't know that. I'm thinking, and I know you think I'm crazy, but I'm thinking, I'm looking around going, if I scream, is anybody here going to help me or going to hear me? That's the problem is that, again, I go back to this, logically I know, but I don't. I don't know which one you are. And the fact that I also know that if something does happen, I don't have any way, there's no repercussions, there's no consequences for it.
Right,
It's
there's
just
no
me. I'm the one who will
consequences. The
suffer for
judicial
it.
system sucks. And the thing is, I know like guys think of this as this catcalling as expressing a compliment, giving a compliment, and it's not, because the fact of the matter is, I've had strangers do it much better. Like one time I was coming out of the liquor store and this really cute guy was like, "Hey, I saw you going in. I thought you looked really beautiful, and I just needed to stay to say
Hi, you're beautiful.
hello."
Yeah,
and
woo!
and we
Looking
talked
good,
and
hot
we talked
pants.
for a while. Yeah, and we talked for a while, and he was a complete gentleman. And I gave him my card.
And I think everybody's. In my two situations where it happened, one was in a relationship. I was in a relationship with a guy. It was an emotionally abusive relationship, and the emotional part was him playing the game where I don't really like you anymore, and me begging him to like me, kind of a thing.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
bad. But then he would get drunk with his friends and come home and he didn't have a job. I did. He'd wake me up at 3 a.m. to have sex with me, and I didn't want to, and he would and I remember a few nights waking up with his penis just in my mouth as I was asleep, waking up to that. And it took me a long time to realize, oh wait, I was being raped by my boyfriend, which I know people say you can't happen. No, I was being raped.
I've been in those situations where it's been incredibly confusing, because it's like there's this thought in my head, or archaic thought, that because I've consented to be in this relationship, I've consented to everything.
And we're
goes
together.
along
We
with
live
it.
together. We share a bed. So it's just him being drunk and horny. But it wasn't. And then the other one was a time that I was drunk with one of my girlfriends. Her boyfriend came to the bar. His friend came with. And me and his friend had a lot in common. We were talking, had a good time. And I invited him back to my apartment afterwards. And once we got there and we started, whatever, I changed my mind.
And you are allowed to change
And
your
I
mind.
changed my mind, and I said no. And he said, "Bitch, I didn't come all the way out here for nothing." Yeah. And so as I cried, he finished. And then because I had invited him back, I drove him back, and I had to drive him back home.
Oh, that's so.
And as he got out of the car, I could not tell you what his name is. I couldn't tell you what he looked like. I couldn't tell you anything about him except for I went over his voice, and the last thing he said to me was, "I still think you're sexy." And he got out of the car.
Oh, that's fucked up.
And then I drove home, which I shouldn't have been driving, so I was kind of drunk. And I parked and I was driving my dad's car at the time, and I had parked in a no parking spot, so and then it got towed. So that's where I had to call my dad to have him come pick me up, and to drive to the place to pay to get out, because I didn't have any money to get the car out. So the whole thing was just bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, it happens, and I remember I've told, I guess, well, maybe more people, but I initially only told my boss where I worked at the time, and her response was, "Well, I guess this means maybe you should take this as a lesson and stop going out."
Yeah, when I
my woman boss, who had 4 sons and no children and no daughters, who said that to me.
Oh my God, those kids are gonna be so fucked up. Sorry, not to judge parenting. Hashtag.
And then when I was sad at work one day and I cried because it was the same week, it was not very nice. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I was told that was her response to it. Another woman's response to it was much better, thankfully. But I never told, and they were like, "You should press chocolate." I'm like, "No, I don't remember what he looked like. I couldn't tell him his name.
Yeah.
You're never gonna find him. And if you do, I was drunk. I invited him to my place. I originally did consent to it, and then I changed my mind. It's never going anywhere. I knew that, so I didn't do anything about it. I moved on with my life.
But let's be clear: if you do change your mind, and like that is rescinding consent, and anything that comes out, any sexual activity after that is rape. But yeah, I mean, I was one of the rapes that I reported, the one rape that I reported, the detective said to me, did you ever think that maybe these things wouldn't happen if you didn't drink so much?
No, because the guy would still be an animal and would find another way to do it. I mean, I'm sorry. If you're going to... See, people always say... now we're completely going off a tangent, but, people always... I always kind of relate this, I guess, to other arguments. And people always say that, with the whole gun control thing, that, if a person wants to kill you, they're going to kill you whether they have a gun or not. They're going to find a way to do it. And sometimes I'm like, well, they won't be able to do it as fast, blah, blah, blah. But bottom line is, you're right. They probably will. If somebody really wants to hurt somebody or themselves, they'll find a way to do it. And if somebody really wants to have you and have sex with you, they will find a way to do it. And it's sometimes, and I shouldn't even say sex. So it's not usually even about that.
It's not about sex. It's about power. It's about degradation.
It's about I am above you, and I'm going to do this whether you would like me to or not, and you're going to take it and just deal with it because I'm a man and you're not, and that's the way the world is.
As a sidebar, I mean, rape is committed against men too.
It's really heartbreaking about it happening to men is that erections are not consent, and that is what they say. Well, then he was aroused. Well, no, a man can be aroused for. I'm sure men will vouch to this. It doesn't take. It's not like they're like, oh yes, I really want to have sex.
It's largely an involuntary physiological reaction.
Exactly. They're not.
That has nothing to do with sexual arousal. Exactly. It's a physiological response.
Anytime anybody's doing anything to somebody who doesn't want it to be done, whether it's anything, it's harmful to that person. And it's harmful to humanity as a whole. Like, let's just be honest. Anything time that something's done to somebody who has not consented to it, you're taking away their basic human rights to make choices for what they want in their life. It's heartbreaking, and it's really sad that the judicial system, which I already said, has already decided that the punishing the person who does it, again, we're talking men now, but anybody who does it, is the punishment to them is more detrimental than the punishment of what happened to the victim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that guy from Sanford, he lost his appetite. I lose my appetite when I get stressed for a test. I get it. But come on. Seriously? He lost his appetite?
What was done to her was so vile.
And then, wait, let's do this. Let's talk about that for a second. Sanford thing, because this is what gets me. He talked about it, Brock talked about it as the sense, and his dad talked about it in the sense that they were both drinking, and it was a drinking thing. If that was true, let's say they were both drunk and he thought she consented to having sex. Let's just, devil's advocate, let's pretend that was true. He shoved pine needles up her vagina. If we're having consensual sex and you stick pine needles up me, come on.
I mean, that's the thing that this kid is sick. And I mean, and I know you're playing devil's advocate there, but let's be clear. She was unconscious.
Oh yeah, no.
Behind a dumpster. And I know you're piercing. So I mean, but yeah, even to blame that on alcohol is insane. This was not the act of two people who had been drinking too much and decided to get a little frisky.
Let's be honest. I've had consensual drunken sex with somebody. I've had one night stands with people that I've consented to. We both were drunk and we had sex. Not at one time did they stick pine needles up me. Like I'm just saying, like this was not a consensual act between two drunk two college students because that does happen. Let's not negate that. I've done it, and I'm not acting like I haven't. But it clearly was not consensual. It was clearly rape. And let's give some props here. Let's get some humanity for right now. Those props to the two Swedish men who rode up on their bicycle and stopped it. That is amazing. And that's what the world needs: is more men saying to other men, "You do not act this way."
This goes back to my point about like the outcry against rape, which I mean I don't even think that should be a thing. I think like society should unanimously understand rape is wrong.
Yeah.
But this is not just a women's issue. This is an issue for men to be concerned about as well. Going back to the point I made where like good men are having themselves inadvertently besmirched, by the actions of bad men. And men need to step up and understand that like we need men to step up and step in.
And especially if you're on the bus and you're with your friends and your guy friend starts harassing a girl, you say, stop doing that. Leave her alone.
What were we watching? We were watching Orange is the New Black today. And there was a line in there where they said something like, it's like with date rape at frat houses. Everyone is responsible.
Yes.
Or everyone's at fault.
Yeah, if you don't say anything,
And that's the thing.
Everybody's
And that's
at
the
fault
thing
for
we
it.
have to start to understand is that everyone is at fault.
if you witness something and you don't do anything,
And thank you. I'm
I know.
toasty.
No, me too. No, if you see something, and you don't do anything,
You'll correct me.
well, you're doing that whole bystander thing, the bystander effect, where
The bystander
everybody
effect,
thinks somebody else will say something.
That's got to stop. I mean, we need more heroes today. We need more heroes, and you need to intervene.
Well, there was this great story on Facebook, and I posted. I don't know if you saw it, but it was about these two women were out at a restaurant together. I don't the restaurant or bar, and they were maybe three girlfriends. They were all together having fun, and they noticed that there was a man and a woman together that looked like they were like on a blind date, like they'd met on they were saying they thought they met like on Tinder or like a mobile or on, and they were kind of amused by it. So they were watching how comfortable they were, and they saw that the man put something in the girl's drink.
Yes,
said,
I saw
and they
this.
said something. One girl followed the other girl to the bathroom and told her, and the other woman told the servers, and they did something. They stopped it from, if you see that, say something. Like it's okay, and I don't know. That's what we need to happen is more people. And I just wanted to give us real quick, I know going back to this real quick, but I had posted today on Facebook about the Indiana thing, and the first 3 responses I got were from male Facebook friends who all did with the anger face emoji, yeah. And I was really proud. I'm like, yes, 3 men were the first people to respond to this as angry.
And I've noticed that on my own Facebook when I've posted about these rape things. The first people to respond are men. With the angry face.
Maybe we should do something more light. So
yeah, we've got this raging bonfire going. It's it was beautiful. Now it's
still beautiful. Don't be so pessimistic. Or that's the wrong word to use. Don't be so negative.
Yeah.
It's a great looking fire.
I'm a perfectionist.
Hey, but that's like a picture where it's like the flames are like aligned.
The flames are aligned. It is beautiful. Like the stars. The flames are aligned like the stars are aligned. Dude, do you watch Game of Thrones?
I don't.
Oh, okay. We can't talk
Sorry.
about that.
I don't do Game of Thrones or the other the Walking Dead or Walking Dead and Game of Thrones are the 2 big ones that people talk about, and I don't watch those shows.
I've watched a few episodes of The Walking Dead.
I don't do zombies.
I haven't committed to it. It was like I was drunk, and well, that's pretty much I can say that all the time. But and it was probably a year ago that I watched a few episodes of The Walking Dead. And I thought it was good. I just got distracted by other things and
I'm sure
didn't go back to it.
Because I have really good friends on Facebook or that talk about that watch it. I don't do. I'm not like the supernatural, like zombies or vampires, except for Buffy. I did watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm not the Twilight thing didn't work. I don't do...
Well, that's because it was cheesy.
And that comes back to my whole logical as a fault thing. Like, I watch stuff like that, I go, that would never happen. Which is so stupid because half the shows you watch on TV would never happen.
Well, I hope you are willing to be a little flexible on your view of the supernatural because a friend of mine handed me over like a package idea for me to do for a TV pilot that it involves the supernatural.
You know what we should do? We should have a podcast about like how great Neil deGrasse Tyson is, about news and science is. Maybe we should do like a science podcast next. We still need to talk about the fact that he came to Minneapolis and had an amazing show. That's a different topic for a different time, but we will talk about that too.
So this is Jen.
This is Natalie.
Until next time, drink up.
Cheers.